Good morning, Gaudi. It's Wednesday, the 20th of January, and it's your third lesson, English lesson this week. So, can I tell the story using my thought shower ideas? That's a thought. Did you notice that? My shower ideas, that doesn't make sense. My thought shower ideas about what happened in La Luna. Now, let's next slide. There we go. So, in this session, you will need the story from that you started yesterday, a pencil and your story from yesterday, and your thought shower. Right, before we get started, I'd like you to stand up. We're going to play a very similar game to what we did yesterday. We've got verbs on the blue side over here. I'm not going to say left and right because it will confuse me and it will confuse you. So, verb or adjective? Explore. So we've got the word explore. Do we think it's a verb or an adjective? If you think it's a verb, can you jump to the blue side? If you think it's an adjective, can you jump to the orange side? Are you ready? Steady, go. What is explore? It's a verb because you're looking and searching. Here we go. Heavy. Do we think heavy is a verb? Can you jump to the blue side? If you think it's an adjective, can you jump to the orange side? What do we think it is? I think it's a verb. Oh, no, it's not a verb. What is it? It's an adjective. Tells you the weight of something. Here we go. Climb. Climb. Now, do you remember La Luna? The little boy, he climbed the ladder. So are we going to jump to the blue side? Or are we going to jump to the orange side? Make a choice. What are we going to do? Yes, that's right. He climbed. So you physically do. He climbed up the ladder. Dark. Is this a verb or is it an adjective? Have a little think. If you think it's a verb, can you jump to the blue side? If you think it's an adjective, can you jump to the orange side? Are you ready? Steady. And can you tell me what it is? Oh, that's right. It's an adjective. Right. We've got 3 more to go. Let's try float. So the little boy was floating in the sky. So is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Have a little think. You can pause the video. If you think it's a verb, can you jump to the blue side? If you think it's an adjective, can you jump to the orange side? Are you ready? Steady? No, that's right. You are. It is a verb. Glistening. Glistening means when it's shining. So, glistening, is it a verb or is it an adjective? If you think it's an adjective, jump to the orange side. If you think it's a verb, can you jump to the blue side? Are you ready? Steady. And can you shout whether it's an adjective or verb? Ready, steady. That's right. It's an adjective. Wrap. The little boy wrapped the anchor around him. So is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Are you ready? Can you jump to the side, the verb or the adjective? What you think wrap is? It's an adjective. You're right. See, Mr. Jalaf doesn't know. It's a verb. No, it's not a verb. No, it's not. What is it? It should be a verb. And it's not going in. I think it might be a technical error today. Right. Yesterday, we began writing our story of La Luna, and as you can see, we started writing it yesterday. We're going to continue the story underneath. Okay, we're going to continue the story underneath. Right, so here's our thought shower that we used yesterday. You will need this to help you write the next part. Now, when I was looking at this and thinking about my writing, I had forgotten little parts of the video. So what you can do when you come to doing your writing, you can watch the video clip again. Okay. And the next one. So our third sentence, this was my idea. We had pick up the anchor, wrap the rope, and we're going to start our sentence with when. Our fourth sentence, look, Mrs. Jalaf needs to wake up, doesn't she? What does she write? She wrote second. It's not the second, it's the fourth sentence. There we go, we'll just fix it. Okay, our fourth sentence, the idea is climb the ladder and float to the moon. And our sentence is going to start with after. So let's show you how to write these two sentences. Right, Gaudi. The idea was pick up the anchor and wrap the rope. So I'm just going to pop that here so I can remember what my idea is. And look, got my pen today. So pick up the anchor and wrap the rope. In this lesson, we're going to focus on using commas in a list. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to focus on using commas in a list. And rather than say and all the time, let's have a go. So what did he do when the little boy got there? So we had Dan. So my little boy's name is Dan. So he picked up the anchor and he wrapped the rope. We could say when he picked up the anchor and wrapped the rope. That doesn't quite make sense. So I'm going to start with when he arrived. What did he do? He arrived in the middle of the ocean. So the first part of my sentence is going to be when. So in the capital N, just so I know what my sentence starter is. When. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean and he stopped the boat. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean and he stopped the boat and he picked up the anchor and he wrapped the rope. Oh, that's a bit of a long one. So we've got too many ands. And what we can do, we can have a comma in between. So when he arrived in the middle of the ocean, that's the first part of my sentence. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean. I'm going to tell my teddy when he arrived in the middle of the ocean. Your turn. Right, now I'm going to write it down. This is the first part of the sentence, not all of its first part. When he arrived, and remember, it's the past tense, so we've got to have ed. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean. Ocean. I'm not quite sure how to spell that one, so I'm going to use my fingers, bone-in fingers. O, sh, o, sh, Now, I'm not quite sure if that's right, so I'm just going to dot underneath it to know that I might have to go and check that word later. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean, there goes my comma. I'm going to think of the next part of my sentence. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean, he stopped the boat. That's the next part. He stopped the boat. Your turn. He stopped the boat. He stopped the boat. Can you remember the sentence the next part was? That's right. He stopped the boat. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean, he stopped. Past tense, we add an ed to this word. He stopped the boat. Boat, how do we spell boat? Goat in a boat. Goat in a boat. 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 He stopped the boat. He stopped the boat. That's the next part, comma. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean, he stopped the boat. He picked up the anchor. Do you remember? He picked up the anchor and he wrapped the rope around himself. So I'm going to move this idea to the bottom. He picked up the anchor and wrapped the rope around himself. Your turn. It's a bit of a tricky one. Picked up the anchor and wrapped the rope around himself. Can you remember that one? Let's do it together. He picked up the anchor and wrapped it around himself. He stopped the boat, comma, picked up the anchor. Dot underneath it, just so that I'm going to check it afterwards because I'm not sure about spelling. Oh, my sentence, picked up the anchor and wrapped. Do you remember that word? That didn't go into the verb box today. Wrapped in the past tense. Wrapped the rope around himself. Oh, full stop. I forgot about that one yesterday. Right, shall we go back and read this? Quite a long one, and this is why we've got commas to break up the sentence. Here we go. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean, he stopped the boat, picked up the anchor, and wrapped the rope around himself. Good job. What was that? The capital letter? Where? He. Let's cross off he, lowercase he. When he arrived in the middle of the... Oh dear. Middle. Let's go back and read. When he arrived in the middle of the ocean, he stopped the boat, picked up the... Mrs. Jalaf and her lowercase c's picked up the anchor and wrapped the rope. Wrapped the rope around himself. All good. Now, you spot another capital letter. F. Underneath there. F. So I think I'm going to make my target for the next sentence to make sure that I've got my capital letter, my lowercase letters in the right place. So when I finished writing the next sentence, I would use my dictionary and I would go and find out the correct spelling for ocean and anchor. Right, let's turn the page. Right, next idea, climb the ladder, float to the moon. Climb the ladder and float to the moon, and I need to move it up slightly. There we go. Oh, pen. So our idea, climb the ladder and float it to the moon, and we said that we would start with the word after. So I'm going to put after just to remind myself. After. Look, I remembered my lowercase f. After. So he climbed the ladder and he floated to the moon. What other thing did he do afterwards? So he climbed the ladder, he floated to the moon, and the third, remember, he looked around at the beautiful stars. He looked around at the shimmering. Oh, we had glistening earlier. Should we use glistening star? I think we should. So we could use a comma if we're going to talk about those three things. He climbed the ladder, floated to the moon, and he looked at the stars. That's my third idea, which means I can use my commas in a list. This one shouldn't be too tricky. After he climbed, remember, he's done it already. It's in the past tense. So he's climbed the ladder. After he climbed the ladder to the top, he floated to the moon and looked at the stars. To tell my teddy, and I'll take it nice and slow. After he climbed to the top of the ladder, he floated to the moon and looked at the stars. Are you ready? Should we do this sentence together? Here we go. After he climbed to the top of the ladder, he floated to the moon and looked at the stars. Here we go. After he climbed, now climbed has got a b, silent b, climbed, past tense. After he climbed to the top, my lowercase b, top of the ladder, he floated to the moon. He goat in a boat, like we had the boat word, the word boat earlier. He floated to the moon. And what did he do? And he looked at the stars. And he looked at the stars. Oh, stop. Right, I remembered. I said to myself, do you remember? Mrs. Jalaf is going to remember her lowercase p and her f. Shall we go back and have another read? Let's go. After he climbed to the top of the ladder, he floated to the moon and he looked at the stars. I had a comma after ladder because that's the first part of what he did. He climbed to the top of the ladder, then he floated to the moon and he looked at the stars. I'm really impressed with my sentence. Are you? No. Do you know what my Teddy just said? He said that I've forgotten something really important. My capital letter at the beginning of my sentence. I remembered my P and my P. Yeah. Capital A. After he climbed to the top of the ladder, he floated to the moon and here's another one that's crept in, looked at the stars. Right, there we go. Do you know what I would like to do? I think I'd like to change that word looked. What could I have? He stared. He looked. He gazed. He's looking around in awe. Should we have the word gaze? Let's check it. Let's put it. Yeah, let's do gaze. He gazed. I'm going to write it so I can put my gut lowercase. He gazed at the stars. And I remember when I saw that video, the stars were beautiful. They were glistening and shimmering. Shall we describe the stars? We can pop it in here. He looked at the shimmering stars. There we go. After he climbed to the top of the ladder, he floated to the moon and he gazed at the shimmering stars. So remember, your first sentence may not always be the best one. And did I use a rubber? No, I just crossed it out and I fixed it with another pen. I'd like you to do the same. So if you've written out your sentence and you think, oh, I could use a better word, we'd like to see that. Right, our next part is, right, your challenge, here we go. So I was a little bit stuck last night creating this lovely video and I thought, Mrs. Gabella, please can you help me? And she did. She wrote me some sentences and, well, what can you see? Yes, that's what I thought. So Mrs. Gabella wrote these sentences yesterday and I thought to myself, oh dear, can you do me a favour? Can you fix them, please? I've got a feeling she has done what Mrs. Jalaf was doing earlier and I thought she might be able to help me and she didn't. Challenge 1. Please, can you copy these sentences and can you fix them? Can you get a little purple pen or any other colour pen you've got? Can you fix them? And I don't think she's got the capital letters in the right place or even the full stops, but there we go. Challenge 2. We'd like you to write the next 2 sentences using the words below, when and after, just like I did. Can you use the word conjunction and, or to challenge yourselves in further, could you use but, or so perhaps? There's an extra challenge for you. And, but, or, you don't have to use all 3 of them. Just try and use at least one of them in your sentences. And challenge 3. We'd like you to use for every day. And oh, it's not every day, Mrs. Jalaf. What is it? It is when. It is when. That's not great. Let's fix it now. We'd like you to use when and after. Can you please use when? and after. Let's see if Miss Jalaf's going to be awake this evening. Right, here we go. When and after. So we're not using every day, we're not using first, we're using when and after. Superstar challenge, can you use a conjunction? And even more super, can you use commas in a list? Okay, right, we look forward to your writing, and remember, if you don't like your first one, doesn't matter, fix it and choose another idea. Okay, we look forward to seeing your work, and hopefully Mrs. Jalaf is on top form tomorrow.